Okay. And
Recording.
now I'll go back.
Hey.
All right. So this is the next one. Okay. Um, so these are the course topics. We've got 6 weeks that are coming up. And so for week 1, basically we're doing an orientation of the course. We'll talk about professionalism, self-awareness, values, teamwork, feedback. Oops, sorry. What happened there? Pardon me. So we're going to do, I'm hoping to set up a forum for your class, for you and your class. Do you have a forum set up? Do you know if there's one been set up yet inside Blue Jeans for you guys to be able to post and talk to one another without being inside a live meeting?
I keep losing connection.
Probably no idea if there is or not.
I keep losing connection.
Yeah, I wonder if we're using too much bandwidth. I don't know, because we're sharing with video. It might.
It never did this
you
before.
might. No? Okay.
I just turned off my cell phone connection with the Wi-Fi.
I'll turn off mine too.
So hopefully that'll
Yeah,
work and
so
give me better connection.
that could help. And the other thing that could help is like sharing video and audio. So because video takes a lot of bandwidth, so you could always try that. You could disconnect your video, but keep your audio going too. So it's up to you. But yeah, just try that. I'm recording now, and it'll be inside. So when you log into Blue Jeans, you'll be able to see that recording. It'll be shared with you. Okay. All right. So these are some of the things that we're going to be doing week 1, including I'm hoping to do, this is something I'm doing inside my master's program, and it's pretty incredible, is this forum where the instructor posts a question, and then we go in and we answer that question, and then we kind of do reply to my peers, like my colleagues inside the program, and in this way we're practicing feedback for one another, and it's kind of nice to get to have those kinds of group discussions. So I'm hoping that we can do that as part of the learning inside, because it's really practicing communication but it's also practicing feedback, all kinds of things. So I'm hoping we can do that. I'm going to talk with Tracy and see if we can't set up a forum. If not, you're still going to have like a weekly sort of a question that you'll be pondering. So whatever, and it'll be based on everything that we've talked about and shared throughout the week as far as learnings go, not our personal stories, and then you'll create a reflection based on that, and that will tell you when you read it, as you write it and read it, that will allow you to really get a sense of your own, do a self-assessment of what your understandings are for the week, maybe questions that you want to bring up to me for further learning, or be going into the next week with. So just a little more deeper learning, really. All right, so that's week 1. Any questions about that?
So how many weeks are we going to be going in for again?
I believe we're together for 6 weeks.
Okay.
So, and I think the goal was to try to be 3 hours a week, or 3 hours or 15 hours a week, so 3 hours per day. That may change a little bit. I'm not sure, depending on everything else that's happening within your schedules. But for sure, we'll try to do at least an hour and a half together each day, and then there will be I can give you other things that you can work on and such, but it depends on, I guess it depends on everyone's schedule and availability. Right now, it looks like it's 3 hours each day, but it may be less. And I'm that person, I hate to say this, but I always kind of plan for 5, and then I always like to have lots of information to be able to share and discuss. So at the end of this, if we end up shorter, I'm certainly happy to share any resources or continue on. There aren't very many days go by, really. I've been teaching for a while, and there aren't very many days go by where I don't have previous students reach out to me, whether they're looking for a job or they want some feedback on their resume, or they're like they landed their dream job, or they're not sure what to do next, or it happens like pretty much regularly, maybe not every day, but like 3 or 4 times a week I hear from students. So it's kind of cool. So I just want you guys to know that I'm gonna, even though it's like 6 weeks, don't lose my email. Don't lose my contact information, because my background is human resources, and I help people get jobs, like a lot of people. So not just instructor, but I help people get jobs. And I have two sons who are electricians, journeymen. So they've been through the whole ITA. I get it. I get apprenticeships. I get all of it, right? And then I work at the college too, part-time, and teach there. And so all of the programs there, all of the services and supports that are there can pretty much lead you guys to a lot of different things. So, okay, that's week 1. Week 2, we're going to talk, that's where we're going to do the MBIT personality assessment. So, and so next week I'll be working one-on-one with everyone after they take the assessment. So we'll kind of debrief a little bit. We'll do like a 1 hour each personally, and then at least a 1 hour, probably a 1 hour with each person, so that we can go over the results of it. And then we'll actually start using that. We'll actually start using your results, so you can talk about your preferences and think about them as we go through. It's going to be a fun week for sure next week with those assessments, and it'll bring out a whole myriad of questions and things that on communication. So, and then week 3 I'm going to introduce you guys to inquiry, or reintroduce you possibly to inquiry-based learning. Because we're going to do some virtual teamwork. Chances are, I mean, I know you're going to go into the trades, but chances are this is the reality. And so working virtually, it's a reality inside this course, definitely. So it's one of those skill sets that you'll have to be able to put on your resume to say, yeah, virtual teams, done it. I've managed this completely online, this teamwork thing. So I've got this, so you can say that to employers and stuff as you're looking for those apprenticeships and stuff. So I'm going to make sure that we get a chance to do that inside this course, so everybody gets a little bit of comfort. It's not so much what the assignment is, it's about the process, because teams, you guys will, like, first of all, you're going to have definitely be working under journeyman. You are going to be part of larger teams, you're going to be working with teams inside teams as apprentices and as tradespeople. That's the thing. When something's getting built, there's often more than one trade, and so there's some real strategies that you can have, personal strategies that you can have working with teams. And so we're going to talk about a little bit about that, and we'll be able to use that lens, that personality, those preference lens, to be able to kind of learn those things too. So we're also going to do the personal journaling. That'll be something that we're going to do weekly. Self-evaluation techniques, so we'll go into that. I'm going to teach you a little bit about that. It's been a real, for me, the self-evaluation techniques, learning those and learning how to do those as an instructor has been a real eye-opener. It's a game changer inside the classroom. It doesn't become it's never about me then. It's really about yourself, and it's about what you want to get from everything that you do, not just in the classroom, but your whole life. So we're going to go through self-evaluation techniques, and then week 4 is we're going to do a communication style assessment. So this is another type of assessment. It's how you communicate. So the different ways and such, and we'll be doing again our weekly post and then replies to our weekly posts, our personal journaling, and then self-evaluation techniques. So week 4 should be a lot of fun too. Some more self-revealing stuff about ourselves. And how's everybody doing so far?
Good.
Any questions so far?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So in week 4, we're gonna do personal journaling, or?
Yes. Each week we're going to do personal journaling. We'll talk about that at the end of the week. This week, probably Friday or Saturday. I think if we go Saturday as well this week. We're going to try to do it each week, and that is. You can't hear me? Nice. I like to write. Nice. The journaling piece. I don't know if you guys have ever thought about this, or it's ever been presented, or you probably know it. You know, when you write something down, when you journal, when you actually put something down and you write about what you learned about, that's what you learned. What's on that page is how you interpret it. That's the learning. So a lot of time, that's why we have you, an instructor will have you do an assignment, or that's why even in math, like you'll complete the skills and then you'll hand it in. And by completing that, by doing that, and you're processing that, that's your learning. And so you have a way to say, okay, I know this, and that's one of the valuable things about journaling or whatever, is because a lot of the stuff that you journal about, it's not an assignment. It's really about the overall everything that we talk about, right? So, yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So, anyone else have any other questions? How hard is this, right? Lots of discussion. All right. Okay. So week 5, conflict in the workplace. So this is, we're going to do a little bit of an assessment for conflict in the workplace. It's really your conflict style. One of the tools that I use is called the Thomas Kilmann conflict resolution style. And I don't know if we'll work through that week, or if we'll do a simpler assessment tool, but we will be using some form of a tool, and this will be an assessment, some form of assessment, for conflict in the workplace. And by the end of the week, you should have a better idea of, or some strategies for facing that, for working through that, developing your leadership skills when it comes to conflict in the workplace, for sure. And other. Okay, and then 6. So we're going to do a review of everything we talked about. Your team assignment will be due this week, and again, there'll be, I guess if it's the end of the week, there's just one last weekly post. You're replying to your peers, and then your journal article using self-evaluation techniques. So that's week 6. That'll be the last week, and then, classroom engagement techniques onto that. So I'm going to try to, with this forum, this is really nice with the Blue Jeans, there's breakout rooms. So we can say, we could split everyone up into pairs or into groups of 3 for discussions and such. So we're going to kind of expand on that, see how that goes. That leverages time. When we're having a group discussion and everyone is speaking and sharing, we could spend an hour to do that. Whereas if we've got a subject and we break into separate rooms and we discuss it, we can actually say we discussed it with 2. We leverage time, so we could accomplish double the discussions. You'll find that you'll probably do that in the workplace. Does anybody want to share an example of this in the past where they're working, where one team worked on, or one group of people worked on even in like when you're building something, one group worked on this and one group worked on this to sort of to leverage time, because you only have so much time to accomplish the job. Can anybody provide an example of that? Anybody ever done that?
Well, I used to, like, I've been in the plumbing and heating field for roughly altogether 10 years. So I used to work for a company doing commercial, and we were building hotels and apartment buildings. So we'd have a group of guys going through the floors doing all the rough-ins, while we had other guys in the parkade doing all the water lines, and we had other guys doing the in-ground heating. We have other, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're just kind of got groups of guys everywhere doing different tasks to complete it on time, right?
Perfect. That's a great example. Thank you. And that's it. So that's one of the techniques that we'll use here is we'll have the breakout rooms. The other one is question periods. So where I'll give you a question and you're just going to take your 10 or 15 or 20 minutes just to really think about that. It might be based on something that you need to read. We'll use the 1 minute paper. Has anyone ever heard of the 1 minute paper?
No.
No? Anybody? So the 1 minute paper, sorry, did I cut someone off?
No.
Okay, so the 1 minute paper is really at the end of a lesson or at the end of our discussion. I'll say, I usually try to do this at the end of the day. Take a minute and write down something that you learned, and then write down something that you weren't sure about. So you take a minute. That's about it. And so you're like, okay, so we talked about this, but I really wasn't sure when she talked about this, or when we talked about this, I want more information about this. That's it. It's really simple. You take a minute, that's it. You write it down and you submit that to me. And I will try to, I'll try to find the answers, or I'll try to be able to clarify that a little bit more, whatever it is. And we'll do that regularly. I think it's good. This is self-evaluation. This is literally a self-evaluation technique. So you're looking at, okay, what is not clear about what we learned today. So I learned this. This is great. This made sense. And what wasn't clear? If we're talking about, for example, a conflict style. So the avoidance, that really wasn't clear. I'd like to know more about that. And it helps me. So it's self-evaluation of yourself, of how you're, I guess, how you're taking in the information, but it's also a self-evaluation. It's formative evaluation for me as well, so that it makes me better. Because if we're getting to a spot where there's, there isn't, there's just a few smaller things, well, we're just going to get to a spot. Hopefully, my goal will be to get to a spot where there's less and less, there's more and more clarity, and less non-clarity, I suppose. So that's the 1 minute paper. It's really just, we take 1 minute. I have you write down what you would like more information on, or what you need more clarity. I think this also speaks to our respect contract, because you now, it gives you a voice too, a space to have a voice. So if if we're moving on or we're talking and you didn't get a chance to ask your question or something like that, this gives you that space. Another way to have that space, the learning journal, and that is something that you'll be doing, well, hopefully more than weekly. It sounds like you've already been tasked to do a learning journal, and this is really just at the end of the week. You just take 5 minutes or 10 minutes and just put to paper. You could do this daily as well. Put to paper the things that you, the things that, the things that you've changed about the way you think about communication. So whatever that is. And then anything else, like I wanted to, where it says other ideas there, it's really, I wanted to ask you, all of you, what other techniques you think we could manage in this forum, in this type of classroom. So we can use breakout rooms and question periods and 1 minute paper and learning journal. Does anybody else have any other really good, or well, any other, it doesn't matter. I'm sure they're all great ideas. So any other thoughts on how we could stay engaged inside this? All right, well, if anybody comes up with something, they're like, hey, I want to try this, or I want to do this. I know with a lot of the instructors at the college, we'll use like Kahoots, and we'll use different ways to kind of have a little more fun, whether you want to have a debate or whether you want to do different things. I mean, it all happens at work, in the workplace. So if it happens and you want to try it out inside here, feel free to raise that idea, and I'll try to come up with a lesson plan or a way for us to. I'll implement it inside the course. Because yeah, definitely we don't do 1 minute papers at work. We have question periods, and we definitely do breakout rooms. I don't know if we use a learning journal, but there are other ways in the workplace that we engage, in conversation and communication. So I'm really open to trying them all out, especially if you've never tried it before, but you're always like, you're worried that maybe it's something that or concerned that it'll be a way that you'll need to engage when you get into the workforce in the plumbing, and you're like, well, hey, we should try this or something. I'm really open to that.
You know that Kahoots that you're talking about?
Yeah.
I did that. We were doing that with Jace for that what's that? Medical office assistants. We were doing that Kahoots with that Jace there.
Yeah.
Pignata. And that's a pretty fun. It's a little fun game to do. You learn stuff.
Yeah. You like that? Well, we can do that. We can definitely do that. Competition in the workplace. Like, oftentimes, do you find, when I think of Kahoots, and I think because it puts a little bit of competition. It wakes everybody up, especially if I like to do it after lunch, because then everybody's had a bunch of carbs and they're kind of sleepy, and so that's a real fun one to do. After on the second half, the beginning of the second half of the course or whatever for the day, especially if it's like a long one, like 3 hours. But yeah, in the workplace, you are competitive. There are times when it's like, hey, there's 3 walls to build, or there's 6 walls to build, and there's 2 teams. Who's gonna have the straightest wall at the end, or who's gonna have so it's kind of fun, right? Competition kind of keeps us motivated. Sometimes work is freaking tough and hard, and we don't want to be there. And are you kidding? Putting in 7,000 screws in 2 days, and that kind of stuff, or just welding and welding and welding on the same, over and over and over, whatever it is that we're doing. And sometimes it's not fun. So yeah, so having ways that we can kind of make it a little lighter, make it a little more fun, totally open to that.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody's really good at telling jokes in our class. We schedule a joke session or something like that for 5 minutes every class. I don't know. I'm open to that too. I mean, we do that in the workplace, right? Get by the water cooler. Everybody goes and gets a coffee, and we share a little bit. Somebody tells a joke, whatever. I'm happy with that too.
But if we're not
Makes
good
sense?
at telling jokes,
I know, right? I'm like terrible at jokes. I feel bad for you guys, because the ones I have are like, yeah, they're more like dad jokes, and I'm a mom, but but anyway.
Yeah, I got a good one.
Yeah?
Why did the white man go to the moon?
I don't know.
Because they heard Indians went there first.
Yeah, I got a good one.
Yeah?
There's this guy named Two Dogs, and he asked his dad one day, "Why is my name Two Dogs, and my grandpa's name Soren Eagle, and your name is Trotting Deer?" And his dad said, "Well, when your grandpa was born, your great grandpa seen a soaring eagle when he looked out of the teepee, And like, why are you called trotting deer? Because when I was born, your grandpa looked out of the tent and seen a trotting deer. And why is my name Two Dogs? Because when you were born, we looked out of the teepee and we seen two dogs stuck together.
That's the luck of the draw, isn't it? Hey, that's the luck of the draw. All right, that's awesome. Okay, well, that's it. That's your homework. Everybody has to come up with a really good joke. Anyways, so let's talk about the assignments a little bit. I just want you guys to know that the assignments are for you. I'm not going to be marking them. So I'm not going to be, you're going to be marking them. You're going to be doing your own self-assessment. You're going to be doing peer assessment. Even with the team assignment, you're going to actually be doing peer and self-assessment inside them. And you get 25% for participation. And so it's pretty simple. Should be pretty fun. It's kind of how it is in the workplace. Let's face it, you don't get like an A, B, or C in the workplace, and it's not about, I mean, you get a good job, hopefully, if you work for a good employer. But you will be graded when you're in your foundations course. So I would urge you to, and not just by self-evaluation and peer evaluation, you'll be graded. So you're going to get enough of that anyways after you hit out of this. But for this, it's really, I want to set you guys up for the workplace, the tools, the strategies that you need, you can give really good feedback. People are going to come to you and ask for advice. That's leadership. You end up becoming a manager really quickly if you can do this. We're going to do a team assignment together, probably in groups of 2. Real simple. You guys will choose the topic of that. Nothing. The topic will be. You'll choose a topic that is related to communications. We'll go over that next week. You guys will assign the teams or pick the teams or however you want to do that, and then you'll just work. You'll just work virtually outside of class time, but I will give you class time to work on that. And whatever that assignment is, you'll discover that together, you'll decide that together, you'll create it together, and you'll present it together, and you will assess each other, you will assess yourself, and then your peers as you present it, they'll assess you. And so pretty easy to get an A in this class, but all of the strategies and all of the techniques that I'll be using are around like reality, competency, the way it is in the workplace, a little more constructivist classroom for sure. Any questions about any of this?
How about current events discussion?
Sorry, an events discussion?
Current events, like what's happening currently this day, like maybe on the news or maybe in your town.
Do you suggest that we do this? I would think this is a great idea, and I think as support, we're going to do that. So should we do that when we take a break? Do you think that it's mandatory? Do you think that it's how do you think we should proceed? Should that come at the end of the class? Should it come? Maybe, when should it come?
End of the week, maybe.
The end of the week?
Yeah, once a week or something.
So if we did it once a week, we do a weekly, okay? I think that's great. And you do that. You totally do that in the workplace, right? You talk about stuff, So, and I think it's communication, right? So it's a great idea. It's a great idea.
It's a meeting or something.
It doesn't have to be about the news. It could be about sports or. Right now, it's probably just going to be about the news, though.
Nice. All right. So we'll save that for our Friday. We will dedicate how does this sound? If we dedicate 20 minutes and we do it kind of at the end of the day?
Yeah.
Does that sound good? How does everybody else feel about that?
Yeah.
That way, it's optional. Everybody can stay for that 20 minutes, and then those who don't want to, does that sound fair too?
So we're taking beer
Then you're
before-
not, yeah.
Okay. I need smoke.
So our homework for
You need
now is just coming up with the joke.
There you go. Well, yeah, and let's just finish up. I think we're just about there. I'll just keep
Okay.
going. Oh yes, points to ponder. So 10, I think that's what I have is 10. Yeah, and then there is 10 ways to be a better communicator. It's not, the first one is, so these aren't written in stone. These are not like commandments, but these are things that I have found.
Your 10 commandments.
Yeah, right? So, okay. So number 1, be a good listener. Number 2, give a valuable takeaway. So when you're communicating with someone and you're give them something valuable that they can actually use. Smile. When you're communicating, when you smile, when you approach someone or whatever, this helps. Prepare ahead of time. What does that mean? Prepare ahead of time. So if you're communicating, so you're going to a meeting, you want to think about, sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
I was just saying, think before you speak, right? That's kind of the whole prepare ahead of time sort of thing, right? Like, if you're going to a meeting or something, then you're more than likely gonna prepare yourself. You're gonna, think about what you want to say, write things out, decide what you're gonna use, right? Like, or you could be like me and just walk into a room and wing it.
Yeah, so we're going to work on that. 10 ways to be a better communicator. Thanks for that. That's awesome. That's a great example. Pick an opportune time to speak. So, if you're in a group setting and people are giving their opinions and stuff, so if you give your opinion right at the beginning, know that it's probably the one that's going to get picked apart the most. You might want to listen to, I don't know. Anyways, pick the opportune time. Sometimes, that's the best time. But this is, and number 6, be the unifying voice. Does anybody know what that means, or can anybody kind of share what that might be for them? Be the unifying voice. What just happened in our group a minute ago. So when we're stepping up to share an example, or to when there's two sides maybe that don't kind of see eye to eye, but we see what's the gap. We see that they're actually talking about the same thing, just differently. We can point that out. So good communicators actually recognize that because they're listening and they get it. So they can be like, this side, they're actually talking about the same thing, but they're they're arguing about the same thing usually. So that's a leadership skill. Cut the fluff. Number 7, cut the fluff. And it just means, get to the point, right? So, if you're communicating and, cut the fluff. So it's one of those things. I'm interested to hear if anybody goes on to talk about that this week. Keep your responses succinct. So doesn't anybody want to give an example of that, or?
What's that mean?
Succinct.
Yeah, so keep your responses succinct, and so it really means to the point, right? So if you're a good communicator and you're trying to explain, it means to really think about it before, so you can just kind of give a clear representation of what you want to say. So succinct, short. Keep your responses short. Don't be the person. Does that explain it, or do you want a little bit more?
That explains it. Well, to me,
Okay.
anyway.
Don't be the person who needs to comment on everything. So I'm really guilty of this as a mother. So guilty of this. I seem to want to make the world a better place all the time. And so that often means that I have an opinion on a lot of things. So this is one of those things that I work on. Don't be the person who needs to comment on everything. Then validate, then share. So when you're communicating with someone and they have an idea, don't be the person that says, well, that won't work. Just say, well, that could work. This is what I think. So what ends up happening? You end up getting further. Their idea might actually work, or what their idea. It's just when we validated it, when we have our own ideas validated, it feels pretty good too, right? We can all understand that. So those are 10 things. And so what I want you to do is choose one of these ways and answering the following 2 questions. And that's your real homework. And then we can, so do you want me to go back to that first set? So I want you to choose one of these ways and answering the following. Okay.
The first question doesn't make sense.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So basically, replace that space with one of the, so how do you be the unifying voice well? How do you cut the fluff well? How do you keep your responses succinct well? How do you validate, then share with others well? So it's just coming up with one example of how you do this. So we're going to practice these, right? These 10. I'll go back. So it's got like, be a good listener, give a valuable takeaway, smile, prepare ahead of time, pick an opportune time to speak, be the unifying voice, cut the fluff, keep your responses succinct, don't be the person who needs to comment on everything, validate, then share. So how do you do whichever one? And then what is one way that you can do, and then that same one. So validate, then share better. So how do you do it? What's one way you could do it better? So that's the feed forward. That's the self-evaluation and the feed forward. So you're looking at, oh, well, I do this well, and I could do it better this way. Questions?
So that's our assignment right there
That's your assignment.
for today.
Could you go back one more time?
That's your assignment,
Just so I can see the first 5 again. I'm bad
Sure.
with memory.
Not at all, sure.
Okay. Okay.
And then we'll kind of talk about that. We'll talk about that at the beginning of our class. So I will reach out to Travis. We'll bring him into the mix tomorrow. And yeah, I'm thinking same time tomorrow on this same feed.
I missed the last bit of that assignment. The last 5 of those questions. Can you post it again?
Sure. Sure. I'll share right here.
Yeah, I was going to take a picture of it so I could.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Sorry, just
Well, wait,
getting to the.
If this is recording, does that mean we can go back and see it?
Yeah, you should be able to.
I don't know how to go back and look at it.
That's okay. I'm going to put it up for you.
Cool. Yeah, I'm just going to picture it and slide.
Can I see the first
There's
one?
one.
Sure.
Yeah, I need to see the first one as well.
I got it. So that's our assignment for this week. All these 10 questions. And the joke.
If you want with a joke. Okay, there they are. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you go back to the second one now?
Okay.
Do one of these ways to answer
That
the
picture's so
phone.
good.
Okay, cool.
Everyone got it? Does
I got
anyone
it.
still need?
I got it.
Thank you. All right, that's awesome. Okay. So yeah, kind of cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I'm thinking 1:30 tomorrow, but honest, Tracy and I haven't firmed up exactly what that schedule is. So please check your inbox to see if you got an email, if it's come through from me yet. If not, I'm going to have to figure something else out because all of the emails are in my sent folder. So yeah, so it will be here tomorrow, 1:30 probably, in this same forum.
Okay.
I haven't gotten your email.
Yeah, how do we get into it then?
So why don't actually this is a really good idea actually. I'm going to my email is Dillman. Why don't I give you trying to think of here's the chat. All right, I'm going to open the chat. I'm going to throw my email down in here.
Lori Dillman?
Yeah, Dillman at telus.net. That's it. That's my email.
Okay, I got your email.
Dillman at telus.net.
Yep, .net. Oh, did I not put the dot? Dill.
Yeah, there's
at telus.net.
Yeah, I got your email.
If you didn't, okay, because if you didn't get my email, then you need to send me one because it went into your junk folder or something like that, just because it's new. So if you don't have one from me, send me one because it gives you. It's all it really is the links to. I sent an introduction this morning of myself, and then the links for today. So I will send you another email just to confirm what time tomorrow and the rest of the week.
Okay. I did get your one this morning. I did get it. Yes.
Oh well, yeah. The
Nice.
links in that one.
I got your email this morning, but I didn't get the link though. Just says hello. My
Yeah, the
name
link
is.
didn't pop up for mine either.
Link is at the
Okay.
bottom.
Yeah, it just says course introduction.
That's the subject, yeah. That's awesome. I'm glad you got it. If anyone didn't get it, just please send me an email and I will send you a link for. Well, you have the link for this. This is where we'll do the course inside this Blue Jeans Inside Dracy's account. Yeah, but I want to confirm with everyone what time and stuff for tomorrow. So, and I need to go and learn where I lost Travis. All right. Okay. Any other questions, thoughts, comments?
No.
It's been great to get to know you guys a bit. All right. I'm looking forward to.
We get to do more.
You guys can change your name on there, you know that, right?
How'd you do that?
Yep.
You click on the people,